We're going to start off the podcast a little bit differently tonight, and I appreciate Braxton and Miguel giving me the opportunity to talk for a couple minutes to pay tribute to a family friend of mine by the name of Pat Ballou. Pat died unexpectedly a couple months ago, and this past weekend was the celebration of life for Pat. I knew Pat more adjacently. He was the dad who coached soccer for my cousin. We were all very close. We went camping together. And, you know, I went to this celebration of life not really knowing what I was going to get into. I hadn't seen the family in a while. But what I was struck by when I got there was just how unexpectedly loud it was. How people were smiling and people were laughing. And I know that when everyone says that this is going to be a celebration of life, that it always kind of turns into a bit of like a funeral situation because you don't want to set the tone of whatever. But this was so much a tribute, honestly, a celebration to this guy's life. And what I'll take away from this celebration of life, and as I continue to think about my own, you know, battle with like mortality and meaning of life, and I don't know if that like gets anyone else all kinds of, you know, hot and bothered under the collar or whatnot, is, you know, what people said about him. And, you know, there was time where people were sharing stories, and, you know, he had a nickname for everyone, and he, you know, just the thing that kept coming back were the stories that people told about his acts of service and making sure that everyone around him that he cared for knew that he cared for them, knew, like, tended to him. And, you know, like people always talk about, he always did the dishes, and he always people told the story about how he came up to Vancouver to fix the towel rod in their bathroom on his lunch break. And when I think about what I want to be remembered for, and, you know, it may not be any one thing, but it's just kind of like how I made people feel versus anything like one single solitary thing. And, you know, I'm sure Pat, like most people, had their own faults and such, but to be on the side of people having show up to my celebration of life to tell a story about how I fixed a towel rack and not to show up to make sure that I was actually dead is kind of the side that I want to be on. And that message may be, you know, pointed to some when you think about how you treat people and what you do for people, and to be remembered for the good things and not the bad, and to know what goes around comes around, and to fuck around and find out, and to be a kind person, not someone who will get over on somebody else just for their own personal or financial benefit. I would rather live on the side of how well I treated people and not who I fucked over to try and get to where I wanted to go. And I feel like people needed to hear that message, and I want to dedicate this episode to Pat Ballou and his family. And let's start the show.
To Pat. Amen.
This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
It's your favorite basketball player, Tyler Hansbrough.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
Duke sucks and Duke will always suck.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
We are sports. We are nostalgia. We are pop culture. And we're funny sometimes.
I think overall we're just a good time.
They thought we couldn't do it. But guess what?
We're back.
Podcasts are free, and we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
We never knew what we were doing in the first place.
Yeah, that is a good point. Onions.
Thomas, shake, crossover, step back. And DeBrusque gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
I do wish that some analysts would talk about me and how I have come into my own body. Maybe
I mean, I'm sure you've come into your own body, but I think we're saying different.
Stuff yourself like a turkey.
That's another fucking win for Mobster Mary.
Who are we
Speaking of
to
losing,
call people out on losing bets, okay? We suck at betting.
And remember, don't be afraid to fade yourself.
well, with that, boys, welcome back, Braxton.
Thanks.
Braxton's been gone for 2 weeks, and I went ahead and spent the first 3-4 minutes of this not allowing Braxton to talk. But welcome back, Braxton.
That's okay.
It ties. He almost died.
Yeah, I know how Pat feels, kind of.
Yeah. So.
No, that was beautiful, and I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. Tell us about it, man. I'm so happy that you're here. I know that you're feeling a little tired, a little under the weather, but we forced you to come and be here no matter what.
No. I want to be here, and I'm happy to be here. It's good to see you guys. But it was great. I enjoyed my honeymoon thoroughly. Italy is a beautiful country. We got to see just about all of it. Went to, Rome, Florence, Pompeii, Pisa, Sorrento, all over the place, and we had such a good time. Ate so much good food. We did have a couple of hiccups with getting there and coming back. The airlines, what's the right way to say this? I do not recommend at all.
In the highest regard.
In the highest regard, flying with Lufthansa.
Yeah, screw you guys.
That was, wow, they created so many unnecessary headaches. But besides that, the kind of the tail ends, of the trip, everything was really beautiful and fun, and I'm so glad that I got to, have those experiences and create those memories with my beautiful wife.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy that you guys got to experience that. You're probably the biggest, most world traveler out of any of us, really, in the last year or so. I mean, you've been everywhere, so many different time zones and such.
I know Jara has gone more places than I have in totality, but I've been busy the last 6 months, that's for sure.
Yeah. I wanted to see if you came back. I obviously, of course, have a TikTok lined up for your return. It is this woman who also went
Mary?
Is that her name? Real Mary, Mother of God is her TikTok handle. I was curious if you felt kind of like her in this video.
They won in Italy, and I've already been invited to join the mafia. Of course, I accepted, and they handed me a gun, a cigar, and a very large suit jacket, and then told me I was the personality hire. And that's another fucking win for Mobster Mary.
Was she 12? Why does she sound
I
like
think
that?
that's probably her shtick or whatever.
It's not. That's what she sounds like.
That's what she sounds
Yeah,
like.
she's in college. She goes to, I think, Syracuse. But I
She
started
over 21 at least?
I think so. But I started following this girl because of that. I was
Really?
like, how fucking old is this girl? Is she
Yeah.
6? Or...
She sounds like the apparently boy.
And that's another win for Mobster Mary.
Yeah, she's very, very funny.
No invitations, no guns.
No. I even bought a gold chain, and they still wouldn't send me an invitation.
Bastards.
Yeah.
They don't want somebody who already looks like he could be in the fucking mob. That's why
They
recruit
need
people like
they
her.
need more discreets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They need the one. They need the grandma who's gonna pull out the Uzi type.
Yes.
Sure.
They
sure,
find
sure,
that they find the people that don't look obvious, but then they give her a jacket and the gun, so no one would fucking know,
Yeah.
right?
But yeah, it was pretty awesome. I was just about to say something and it fled my mind.
That's okay. We were talking about. I might be able to tickle your imagination here when you came to. So you had the gold chain.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that too much because you're still getting used to the gold chain.
Yeah.
But it looked great on you.
Thank you.
You would very much, as you have gone as a mobster mafia guy in the past.
Yes.
So yeah.
I'm definitely down with the mafia, especially right now. Any way I can get paid, I'm in.
Any of the monies.
Yeah.
I had asked you previously what your best bite was, but I mean, it is the way that Italian food is here versus there, very different.
Very different. I would say my best bite, it was like this shredded beef ragu with like these kind of oversized, fat circular cylindric noodles.
Yeah.
Cylinder noodles.
Are they noodles or gnocchis?
No, noodles. I did have some incredible gnocchi. Absolutely wonderful. But I did listen to last week's podcast, and you guys were giving me grief about getting the barbecue in Florence.
You did. You got the barbecues in Florence.
I totally get where you guys are coming from. But here's the one thing that I will say.
Here's the one fuck you to you, all right?
When you eat the same exact things 3 meals a day.
Yeah, I get that.
For, 10 days in a row, and then all of a sudden you walk into a food court and somebody's selling American barbecue, you want the American barbecue.
And
it's
you
like people searching for Chinese food once they're sick of Italian food or French cuisine.
You probably blew that bathroom up afterwards, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Also learned that gelato does not work with Braxton.
Oh, really?
No,
not a big.
You became lactose intolerant in this 1-2 week long trip.
You became lactose intolerant.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about the gelato, but for the following 24 hours.
What is gelato made out of?
So the only difference is ice cream is made with cream.
Okay.
Gelato is made with milk.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Pretty sure also gelato is a stage before ice cream. So where it's denser. So there's another stage that turns it into ice cream. Gelato is pulled earlier.
It's almost like it's not.
That's why it's so dense and heavy.
It was fucking delicious.
This has been on the it's been on the pod sheet for weeks. Is that there's going to be a Baja Blast gelato? So finally, I can pay that one off.
Yeah,
there's going to be
gross.
a Baja Blast gelato.
There's also going to be like a Baja Blast cheesecake, and they both do.
No,
I would go with the gelato way before I'd go with the cheesecake.
Neither one of them sound good.
Yeah, I understand when you want to lean into diversifying your product line with like a Coke slushy or chapstick or whatever. I don't think that Baja Blast is the product that I envision to get spin-offs.
Yeah.
It's their best-selling product.
I suppose.
I get that marketing-wise it would sell. But the combination of those two things just sounds gross.
Yeah. Maybe if it was also fizzy, like a fizzy gelato could kind of be fun. But then again, I just want like a slushy.
Pops like Pop Rocks in your mouth?
Maybe, yeah.
There you go. I did see that they're doing I don't know if is Salt and Straw just in Oregon?
It's everywhere now.
It's everywhere?
There's
L.A., Colorado, Texas.
I saw that they're doing a
Choco Taco, right?
Yeah, collaboration to bring the Choco Taco back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little collab.
We were watching a show, a reality TV show that's based in West Hollywood, and they got Salt and Straw, and it's what I was thinking was this is such an LA ice cream shop. What took you guys so long to expand to LA?
Yeah, sure.
Because their entire model is the weird shit that you get in LA, the weird type of pizza, all the unique burgers or whatever. It's Salt and Straw is such an LA joint.
It is, yeah. I mean, I could do without Salt and Straw personally.
Yeah.
But
The one thing I will say about Italy that was fucking amazing, and not only amazing in the sense that it was delicious, but also kind of mind-blowing amazing, is you can eat so much food. It's fairly common for you to get a first course of you get an appetizer, you get a first course pasta dish, you get a second course which is either pizza or a meat seafood dish.
Sure, yeah.
And then you finish with a third course, then dessert. And you can eat all this food and you don't feel like shit. I don't know. Obviously, it's preservatives and things of that nature that we have in American food. But gosh, it's it was crazy. You can eat so much. Like we were walking 5 to 7 miles a day, and we could just slam a whole entire pizza each, and then go walk a couple more miles.
That's a good and the bad reminder when you like going to Italy, for example, is you're you get to experience how good it is and how light it is.
Yeah.
You're also reminded that your body responds differently because for years you've been eating processed shit. Like even the natural organic shit that in the US is labeled as that, it's all processed shit. So you try this entirely different cuisine in another country, and it's like, if I ate like a small plate of this in the US, I'm shitting my fucking brains out.
Is it the French or the Italians that will eat dinner super, super late?
I think it's both.
Is it both? Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
I think that's a fairly common European thing.
Right. Okay.
Is that they will have 4 meals a day.
So would you find yourself eating like super late at night just because that's what everyone else did, or would you just eat whenever you're hungry?
We kind of ate whenever we were hungry, but you would, like, we were in this small town outside of Sorrento, and we arrived at like 4:30 p.m. and everything was shut down. And it was like, oh, we reopen at 6. Reopen at 6.
At 6, wow.
Yeah.
There are no such thing as like a happy hour there.
Don't people eat dinner like in Italy and France and Spain? They eat dinner like 9.
Yeah, 9, 10
or
o'clock
10.
at night.
That's why every club is catered to, like, people go out in a group, they have dinner at 10, they go out to the club or party and drink at 11 and 12, and they're done at 6 a.m.
Could you imagine if we hit up, like, here in like Portland or wherever, like an Italian joint in Portland, and then tried to go
take a nap?
tried to go out after that?
Yeah,
it would
not
be
happening.
such bad news. We would go to Ron Tom's and just freaking die in the corner. You would be glazed, your eyes would be glazed over, but just because you had too much pasta.
Yeah, like, I wonder how our bodies would respond and like how old we are now compared to, you were thinking early 20s. I could keep up, I could hang easy. But now it's like, okay, I'm gonna go to fucking Spain, drink, you know, and it's all like small plates and tapas and all that, have dinner and then go out to drink. Like, can I be in a club from midnight to 6 a.m.?
No.
Cigarette smoke everywhere. Fucking, you're taking shots, you're drinking. And another thing I've heard, like, I've experienced this in some countries, but another thing I've heard is like liquor hits you different in other countries.
Yeah.
It's like whatever it is, it's like stronger. I remember watching this one show, and they were taking shots of vodka in Thailand, and they're like, this isn't the same, man. Like, this is fucking me up.
Were you
2,
just
3 shots
crushing
in.
wine, or were you trying different liquors?
I tried a bunch of stuff. I would say the thing I drank the most was beer. That had a lot of Italian beer, a lot of Peronis. And then wine was a close second, a lot of red wine. And the wine was incredible. You order it by half liter or liter,
Sure.
the half swine. And it's like, oh, a glass is, €6, which, and they do every pour is a holiday pour.
Nice.
Or you get a liter for €16, which is like 6 to 8 glasses. And so it's like, yeah, we'll take the liter.
We'll go
wine,
ahead and
please.
take that whole liter, please.
So you're getting a bottle and a half for €16, essentially.
Yeah, which is like,
Actually more if you're getting big pours. That's like normal pour is like a bottle and a half.
Yeah, well, they literally bring out a liter pitcher, and it's just full of their
It's like
house red.
like a beer pitcher?
No, it's like a glass, nice one.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Not like a bar pitcher.
No, it's kind of like hourglass type shape.
Oh, yeah.
But I did go to Tuscany and went to the Chianti region, and I did buy a few bottles of wine that I had shipped back to the house, as well as some olive oils. And I'd love to be able to have a get together with everybody so we can try the wine and have some
I'm very excited
some
about that.
crostinis with some olive oil
Hell
and
yeah.
balsamic. It's very, very good.
Cheese board.
Yeah.
I
What about
love
cheeses?
that. You
Try a lot of
should
cheeses?
leave more often, and then you can bring us stuff back.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I'd really appreciate that. The beer, is it like Pilsner German stuff? Like what is it Ronier?
No.
What is it most like?
I would compare it to like
Stella.
Okay.
Yeah, a Stella. They had Heineken that was available almost everywhere. But yeah, I would compare it kind of to a Stella.
All right, that's fine.
So yeah, it was pretty good. They called all their light beer blonde, which was interesting. And I only found the same place that I got the barbecue was the only place I found that served an IPA.
And was it an Italian IPA or was it like imported from somewhere else?
It was on tap. But I think it was
It's just RPM.
I think it was an Italian
Sure.
IPA.
I don't know if this is just like a bougie like Oregon or West Coast thing, but wouldn't you say that Heineken is kind of looked down upon in the U.S.?
Yeah, absolutely. For me,
it is a massive selling beer globally.
if
It's fucking everywhere internationally. But here, it's like, I don't know if it's just like an Oregon thing with our beer situation or brewery situation, but like people almost laugh when you're like, oh, you're going to get a fucking Heineken, you piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, if there was Heineken, someone says, you want a beer, we've got Heineken, or nothing at all, I would go nothing at all. I honestly would.
I don't mind Heineken, but I've realized, because I agree with you, and most of the people that drink Heineken, it's like the only thing they drink.
Yeah, there's a neighbor down the street where legitimately the entire wall of his garage is lined with cases, like Costco cases of Heineken.
See?
Heineken is like
that takes it to a whole new
the
level.
beer version of Subway. It's just big globally.
Yeah, I suppose.
But in the U.S., it's like,
we
Heineken,
don't like
come
you.
on, man.
We don't like you. Well, you had something similar to Stella in Italy. I hope that you are ready to have some Stella brackets here with March Madness. You're welcome for that one.
You workshop that with Gus?
And if you don't have a Stella
Bill
bracket,
Raftery?
there is a Pepsi and DraftKings have decided to put a promotion together, which is very much our style. $100,000, a chance to win if you get 0 games right on your March Madness bracket.
I like that. Finally.
And if that doesn't happen, the fan with the most losers gets the prize. So, we might as well try if we can. I don't know if we can.
We have a better chance of hitting that.
It is the 0 right bracket challenge presented by Pepsi.
I mean, you really just need to make it through the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's like, then you imagine, that's the great thing about that is then you're cheering backwards. You take all the low seeds, and then that one upset, you're like, fuck you,
God damn
man.
it, I need this number. I need Purdue to win.
14 seed just wins. God damn
Purdue
it.
always loses. Oh, shoot. The tagline, Pepsi got 0 right. Can you get it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Onions.
I will refrain from putting in the obligatory, March Madness.
This is the one time I don't mind it.
Oh, you want it?
March Madness
You
calls
want it?
are better than any other calls that you play.
And we're tied 75 again. Isaiah, shot clock turned off. Game clock at 8. He's going to do it himself. Thomas, shake, crossover, step back. At the buzzer, Young, safe, and Washington wins it on a last-second J.
What a great fucking game.
Cold-blooded.
And they beat Arizona.
That's true. Yeah.
Zona.
Why don't we get a little Chris Jenkins in our lives here? Right?
That was a great one because that is it went off with the fireworks.
That was so
perfect
scary.
timing.
It was so scary. Not like what happened in, what was that? The American basketball or something like that this past weekend where they hit the confetti about 18 minutes too early there.
Wasn't it like Duquesne or something?
I think it was, yeah. We've got Jenkins, North Carolina versus Villanova.
With Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
Gunshots.
Terrifying.
Champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer.
I almost wish that when the fireworks went off, the camera just turned to Jay Wright, not affected at all by winning the national championship or the fact that there was gunshots inside.
Yeah, that was like literal bombs that went off.
And they beat North Carolina. Fucking beautiful game.
What a time.
I'm excited for March Madness. I think I'm more excited this year than I have been in a while because I have literally no
idea.
knowledge. None whatsoever.
This is going to be the perfect year for you when it comes to your bracket then.
Yeah.
You are a virgin eyes.
Yep.
You go with what is important to you as an analyst of things.
As a man. Yeah, I'm going to just put Oregon through at least one round, and that's the only thing I know.
Against South Carolina. And the thing is that Oregon found their way, before we get into the tournament here, found their way through the Pac-12 championship, beating Arizona in the semifinals. It's quarters? No, I think it's semis. And
No.
It was semis. They beat Colorado in the championship.
Right.
And then
they wouldn't have played. They wouldn't have played in the
quarters.
quarterfinals because Arizona had a first round bye.
Yes.
So the thing is that like this was very impressive for Dana Altman and what he has done. This was a team that was not looking very tournament ready.
Yeah.
And so to be in this place, like good momentum going, now you've got a pretty decent matchup where you think, all right, like I could see it happening.
Yeah, the spread is 1.5, something like that. I think it's a good matchup.
Miguel's Blue Dew Devils are at number 4 seed, which you like a little bit.
I think 4 is deserved. They're not tough. They wouldn't deserve a spot higher than that. That's the one thing I love about March Madness. I feel like there's conspiracy in a lot of sporting events, especially the pros and college football. Even though a few teams got hosed, this is about as accurate as it gets when you have March Madness. Not only because the field is big enough, but when you're talking about teams that there's not, how often do you hear it every year that like so-and-so should have made it or this team should have made it? 2 or 3 teams. Sometimes no. Sometimes you don't hear that at all. So I feel like it's the fairest tournament there is.
Well, yeah, and then like before we get into teams that made it, I suppose that we can talk about the ones who did not. There were definitely a good number of people who thought that Pittsburgh should have made it in, that Oklahoma should have made it in. Pretty surprised, especially with a Rick Pitino-led team, that St. John's does not make it in, especially the way that they competed against UConn towards the end of there. And I guess like in general, just like Big East teams only having 3 represented in what is otherwise a very competitive conference.
This is probably the most like controversy that you've heard from March Madness is this in the last 10 years is this year. Because you're making the case for like Kansas State and Michigan State had the exact same record, 19-14, which is barely squeaking in the fucking tournament. But you look at the quality of wins and how many ranked teams they played, Kansas State blows Michigan State out of the water. Kansas State does not make it. Michigan State makes it. Michigan State makes it because of their coach.
Yeah, because Tom Izzo has been there 25, now 26
and
times.
Izzo is a big name in college basketball.
Yeah.
So if you're taking that, how does Pitino not make it when St. John's killed it in the Big East?
Especially the way that him and Hurley were going after each other during that game on the sidelines, just that like piss and vinegar type of, just the like it's like gregarious and the flamboyance of.
And if you're going for ratings, you want Pitino to go up against Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
You want Seton Hall with the former player who's fiery. He's out fucking fighting people. You want him on there.
Yeah.
And you look at in college football, SEC always gets the bias. In college basketball, ACC doesn't get that same treatment, and they are clearly the best conference in college basketball. Jeff Capel in Pittsburgh doesn't make it
That's
with
pretty wild.
with one of the toughest schedules in the country to finish over 600.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure their
Dude.
quad 1 record was pretty good.
Yeah.
And so to see, again, to your credit, or to your point, some conferences maybe not getting that lean, when really, part of it, too, is when you look at your at-large and automatic bids as well. And that's kind of a question that I have for both of you guys, because, obviously what we're seeing in the first 4, as you go throughout, the first 4, just for the context, for those who are curious, why are we seeing 10 and 11 seeds competing now in the first 4 or whatnot? And so the NCAA selects the lowest 4 ranked at-large programs to play for the 11 seed, and then the 4 lowest ranked automatic qualifiers to play for the number 16. So the 11 are the at-large, and then you have the 16s. And then the at-large bids account for 36 of 68 teams. It's a lot. And I just kind of wonder...
But they don't always... So they follow that pretty close.
They do, yeah.
But there is a pretty big gray area where they decide what will get ratings and what people will watch and what people will side with them on.
Mm-hmm.
A great example is Virginia. Virginia is a 26-8 team, 26-7, which is
right.
A middle of the road 7 to 10 seed in the NCAA tournament.
And what did we see on Tuesday night?
The committee knew, this is the good side of the committee, if you put this team in the tournament, a team that can lock down defensively but cannot fucking score, they're not going anywhere. So they're one of the gray areas where they didn't follow that all the trajectory of how they do the NCAA tournament. They took Virginia and was like, you need to prove it, because if you can't get past the play-in, you're going to get rocked in the tournament of teams that could Texas can score over 100. Virginia can't score over 50. This will be a 50-point blowout if they put you in the tournament in the first round.
It was pretty insane, because Braxton goes, Virginia hasn't scored in over 9 minutes. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But then they even put on, finally when Virginia scored in the first 4 was when they decided to put, the last time they scored was 9:48 p.m. Eastern time. And that was nearly, there was halftime.
52 minutes.
52 literal minutes that they had not scored a bucket.
Yeah.
So,
not great.
When you think about 96, and people have floated that out there, how do we feel about where 96 might be, Braxton?
I don't know. I think it's that seems like too many, to be honest.
Right. You just go at a certain point, maybe you expand the first 4 a little bit. And then, you could say, all right,
what are they at right now? 68?
68, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you extend it into the 70s, and then you have Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday being all-day things as well for day 1, type of thing. So then what does that do? That maybe puts you into the mid-70s, low 80s or whatnot.
Well, why is this being brought up? Why
money?
You don't think March Madness brings enough money with 68 teams? Why do we need to change something that's been working?
More money.
No, it's not more money. It's not just more money, because the reason it started to become a part of the argument is every team who didn't make the tournament is turning down the NIT. It's killing the NIT. So what they're doing is, by expanding the tournament, we're bringing March Madness and NIT together.
I suppose.
Which no one gives a fuck about the NIT.
That's true. But wouldn't you would watch more intently tonight and tomorrow night?
Yeah.
And then legitimately though, right?
At the end of the day, that just extends March Madness. Instead of starting games on Thursday, we have games all day: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, I think I can be convinced of the positive things that it could bring, but I also don't like the idea of we're just making it big and putting teams in there that don't deserve it, and it takes away from earning the right to head up to get a spot.
Becomes too much like a participation trophy.
Because if you expand it by 30 more teams, then we're just bringing on people who didn't deserve to be there. Because we're at 68, you're already saying no to the teams that finished at like 16-16. So what are we doing here? Like, we're going to take 96 teams
here?
And we're going to take a team that had a losing record, a 16-19 team. We're putting them in the tournament because we have to fill a spot. I feel like it'll bring teams on there that don't deserve to be there.
Right, but I mean, like, look at this year when you think about the ones that should have been in there. I mean, we're advocating for about 6 to 8 more teams that could have had that case. And I know that after you expanded to 6 or 8, then there's going to be another 6 or 8 who are bitching and complaining. But I mean, like, you know, is there the possible room to do that? We're
talking about teams that got hosed that were like 3 to 5. I get that. But expanding it to 96,
yeah, I don't think
then you're including the other teams that I'm talking about.
And then all of a sudden, what? Like, do you give first round buys? Is it a 1 playing a 24 seed? Like a 20? Yeah, I don't know. Like, so that to me gets a little too honky.
I mean, if they want to add teams, why not start off small? Like, just add 4 more of these play-in games.
Yeah,
you know, to earn.
Get to 72. Sure, that's a number
spot.
we like. Who knows? Add another spot, add another play-in type of a thing. Whatever. Create that intrigue. Start the betting then, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, if that's what you really want,
and I
get
think
it to a point where you start literally days earlier.
For the longest time, we weren't seeing big upsets like 16 over a 1. And in the last 3 years, top 2 seeds have gone down. A 16 and a 1 have won twice in the last 5 years. A 15 seed has beaten a 2 seed in the last few years. I feel like you start including the teams that don't necessarily deserve to be there, that has a losing record or not on the same level. Everyone's still D1, D1A. That's why the Fairleigh Dickinsons of the world still have a solid chance to beat Purdue, because anything can happen.
Yeah.
And then you take the level below that, where you're now putting a 16 and 19 team playing Kansas at their best. What happens? Like, we get less of those upsets.
For context, you have the first 4 has made it to the round of 32 at least in every year but 1. So, I mean, I think that, yes, we make the case that the first 4 does make sense, and the possibility of expanding that could add even more intrigue. Not only that, but then you have the VCUs and the UCLAs, most recently UCLA, who was a first 4 team that went super deep into the tournament. So I like that type of story. You know, I think that one could make that case to start everything on Tuesday. I mean, why not? Why not? Why stop it there? But I did want to bring up a bit of a conspiracy that I think that this podcast would really like. And it is a disturbing bracket trend that in every tournament since 2021, a top 2 seed has lost in the first round to a team with a phallic name. In 2021,
Fairleigh Dickinson
lost in 2023, or beat Purdue in 2023. St. Peter's defeated Kentucky in 2022, and Oral Roberts defeated Ohio State in 2021.
Do we put money on Morehead State then?
Morehead or Longwood State against Houston would also be the possibility.
Okay. Is Longwood a 16 seed?
Longwood is a 16
Yeah,
seed.
then Vegas put out that fucking article. Hey, blow money on the 16 seed against the number 1 overall seed in the tournament.
Money on Longwood. I don't
This
even know
is
that
fucking.
game
This
line.
is Mr. Caesar Palace doing this shit, trying to get people to blow their fucking money. I'm not falling for it.
Mr. Quinn.
What is Morehead?
Morehead is a 3, so it's a 14-3 against, right?
Morehead's 14. Who are they playing?
Oh, who are they playing? One moment, please.
Tennessee's 2.
I had this like on the tip of my tongue. Morehead State is against Illinois. Is that one? So
that one I can get behind.
Why not? I could take that one. Why not? What is Morehead State? Morehead State heads back to the big dance for the first time since 2021. Finished with top 9 defense. I like a team with good defense. With just 62.8 points allowed per game.
Who's Fairleigh Dickinson have? I know they're in the tournament. I might go with that one if we're falling for this Vegas trip.
I don't think they are in it.
I don't know if they are, actually.
I think Fairleigh Dickinson's in the tournament.
Are they?
I don't think they are.
I don't think so. Mr. Dick? No, they're not. Not this year.
Then I'm not doing it.
Yeah. No thanks.
Longwood, get the fuck out of here. You're getting me to Houston's one of my champions.
Yeah, I know.
I'm high on
That was a weird one.
I'm high on Houston. I have them in probably half of my brackets winning the championship. The thing that worries me about them is they're just a better Virginia. They're a lockdown defensive team, but they might not be able to keep up with an offensive powerhouse.
Yeah, they have been very good defensively, always, right? I mean, I think that's why a lot of people, because at this point in the year, you would almost rather have a better defensive team than, say, maybe in years like Gonzaga, where it's like you get 90 points, but what if you get punched in the mouth? Are you going to be able to lock down defensively? The thing that scares me, actually, though, about Houston is that Drake has now decided to get rid of his fandom of Kentucky, and he has jumped on the Houston.
When Kentucky's the number 3 seed?
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's not even that they're bad. Like, they're still like the hot, attractive girl, and yet, like, that's still not good enough for good old Drake.
Yeah, and I think that, at least from what I've heard, again, my knowledge is lacking, but I feel like this is one of the better Kentucky teams.
They're they have like one of the best offenses in the whole tournament. Yeah,
because Calipari, like has struggled. I feel like in these last few years with his teams, and
he got a good freshman.
Yep,
got Reed Shepherd.
Yeah, and they've got against Oakland, in that first one. They could possibly run into NC State, the pride of the
NC. You're talking about another thing that you look at with brackets is who's rolling in hot. There's no team hotter than NC State right now. They if they didn't win the ACC tournament, they would not be that. This is an at-large bid. They would not be in the tournament if they didn't win the ACC tournament.
It's pretty wild. I mean, like they have that new darling, the big boy,
DJ Burns.
Yeah, and then
they have to watch his minutes because he's so big. He gets fucking tired.
He is a big boy. He's might be a darling of the tournament if they can get by Tech there in the first round.
There's 2 11 seeds that I like as a Cinderella team: NC State and New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I can see those teams, either one of those teams going
Oregon,
far.
Not Oregon.
I think Oregon, I'm 50-50 with Oregon and South Carolina, but I think Oregon, if they come out of that game, I think they run into Creighton, and Creighton's much better than a lot of teams in that bracket.
The Creighton's pretty good as a 3.
And then Oregon runs in, are they in the Tennessee and Gonzaga bracket?
Yes, yeah. So they're in the
Tennessee.
Yeah,
would be tough.
Not only that, so you were talking about New Mexico. New Mexico, one of the rare underdog favorites. A 1.5 against Clemson. There is against the 6.
So the underdogs are favorites. I'm confused.
They're a lower seed, but they're favored in the game.
Oh,
there's
gotcha.
4 of those, and there's 4 of
my
those
bad,
in the
I
bracket.
explained that incorrectly. As a lower seed, they are favored.
Gotcha. The old underdog favorite.
The good old underdog favorite, the elusive underdog favorite in the. So yes, thank you for checking me.
The under pup and overdog.
Yeah, who's the overdog here? But yeah, so again, a couple of different darlings as well. There is this guy Casey something or other from Nebraska who is
the Japanese Steph Curry.
Yeah, the Japanese.
That boy is
Steph Curry,
about to light it up.
They've got Texas A&M. I forget who it was. Whether it was, I think it was Stephen A. Smith. These guys caught some flack on First Take. Both Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp revealed their brackets for who was going to be in the Final Four.
Why?
Shannon Sharp had all number 1 seeds, and Stephen A. Smith had 3 number 1s, and the one number 1 seed that he didn't have in there was actually Houston, and he had number 9 seed Texas A&M in his Final Four, with the rest UConn and Purdue and then North Carolina.
And wasn't Texas A&M one of those teams that was like
real suspect? Yeah, real fringe there. So not the greatest their record, but
love Buzz Williams though. He's the coach for Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm. Got a good
firecracker,
good old Buzzy, and maybe he propels them.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but it's a legitimate question.
Toot away,
what
Magoo.
is a good percentage of like how often you win a bracket? What would you say? Like once every 10 years?
I've never won a bracket.
But it's like it's such a long, odd thing. Like would you say that if you win once every 10 years, a bracket, no matter how many you're a part of, it's good? Like, or
1 out of 10 in a group, right?
No, like if you won a bracket, if you won 2 brackets in the last 20 years, would you say that's a good accomplishment?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess like the ratio is a little different. I'm not trying to make this difficult to respond, but like
like on how many brackets.
Yeah, like I mean, I put in 1. I mean, like, you know, the difference between me and you is that you put in like 8. I put in like 1 to 2 max.
Because I would always side on the if you know nothing, you have a better chance of winning. It's always like, you know, in an office setting, it's always the fucking person who doesn't watch basketball, who base it off of like school colors or like mascots that win. I've won 11 brackets in the last 24 years. And granted, I've been filling out probably an average of like 5 to 8 every single year. But I've won, I counted today how many I've won. I've won 11 brackets, and I've won 3 brackets in the last 9.
And what do you attribute that to? Paying attention?
Maybe.
Because if you're looking for no knowledge, you've come to the right place.
Yeah. Well, I think I've won like 3, maybe 4 in my life.
Though I think the common denominator is I could bust the bracket, but I have the champion.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
They get the champion, which is worth 32 points. So you can blow up the first 2 rounds. You know, but I had UConn last year.
Okay, so
with a busted bracket.
So you and I have already placed a couple of bets. The first bet that you and I have placed is that I have Oregon over South Carolina, $20 that we talked
which is a
about
coin flip.
Which is a coin flip. And then I also, as a proud supporter of Colgate, whatever they are, the paste. As a proud Colgate supporter,
Colgate Calciums,
in their pride of in their 14 seed yet again, have decided that I will take the point spread. You generously gave me the point spread of 13.5 against Baylor.
I mean, the thing with spreads in March Madness, it's not going to be close.
No.
They either blow them out or this is a 2-point game and you're fucked. Even though it's state Colgate's in.
Oh, we did this one time. I feel
the last time you were big on them,
which was last year, and I've already forgotten. It's either Texas in a random small place, or it's in one of the Carolinas.
I think it's a Carolina.
Okay, let's look this up. Okay, let's. Look
I was asking you this, not know. I don't know. I don't think we've ever looked up Colgate.
No, we have. Yeah, that's right. It's in New York.
It's the factory where they make the toothpaste.
It's in the Madison County, New York. Yeah, let's see. Hamilton, New York. The pride of. They have 3,152 undergraduate students.
What's their mascot?
I don't know.
The fluorides.
Mascot.
Raider?
The Raider. Let's
Colgate
look it up.
Raiders. Rolls right off the dome.
Oh, God. It looks like a white supremacist.
Look at those eyes. Jesus.
Yeah, they're very red
That's
and very
haunting.
terrifying. The Colgate Raiders. Huh. I regret this. I can't take it back. I can't take it back. But, okay, so I've got the Colgate Raiders.
Nightmares.
Yes.
Can you take that down, please?
Yeah, bloodshot eyes. I want to put your your bracket. I want you to choose a bracket, or maybe it's one of Jera's brackets. I want to put your bracket up against mine, and just straight up for another just like $20.
But
Most points.
Are we tracking this by being in the same group? So it'd be in Jera's. Are you doing?
I
one
suppose,
of Jera's?
yeah. So like, make a bracket if it's one of those. If you like one of those, if not, make another one or delete one. And I
mean,
want to.
they're all scored the same.
They're all scored the same.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you which. Mine's labeled 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell you which one I'm putting up against yours.
Okay.
And then once you fill one out.
And then once I'm in, we'll do just you and me $20 for who has the most points. If he's feeling great. So now Miguel and I are at, I think, $60 or $80 here.
Love it.
I don't feel great about any of this because I
Love
am
it.
more so on this side than on this side of my knowledge here.
But that, like he said, that can be
But
beneficial.
who cares, right?
Yeah, this probably means you'll blow me out of the water.
Yeah.
Because as soon as Duke loses in the second round, I'm fucked.
If we go up and down, who is the number? Do I even have to ask which number 1 seed we're most concerned about?
To me, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I've watched them play all year. Purdue is not going to go far.
Purdue every year. I mean, they were the ones who lost last year.
So I agree. I've always been of the opinion that Purdue, never trust them. But I will say, in some of the podcasts I've been listening to this week, there has been kind of a unanimous opinion from some of these so-called experts that this is a different Purdue team.
It's not.
That
I
Zach
watched them.
Edey has kind of come into his size, and he's become more aggressive and dominant.
What does that mean? I mean, he's already a big boy. Like, he just didn't know how to like walk. He was like a little baby elephant.
Sometimes when you're that big, you kind of don't know. Yeah, baby elephant. You kind of don't
giraffe.
know the best way to use your body to be the most successful.
I think
Yeah.
those people are just finding like a positive way to.
Is that they're just looking for hot takes?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a hot take. I think they're looking to acknowledge Edey still being around and dropping the numbers that he drops on average, like a 25-12 game every fucking game.
And it seems he's got more support.
They're the same team as far as shooting and who he kicks it out to. Like, I watched the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament and in the championship. Edey will get his numbers just because he's so big, and a lot of them are putbacks.
Yeah,
he'll get the rebound. Like, you
A
take
little
12
pop.
rebounds,
Quick
6 of those
bucket.
are offensive rebounds, and then a quick bucket. Well, he gets 12 to 14 points out of it. You get him in foul trouble, they're fucking done.
yeah.
I think the most vulnerable top seeds are Purdue and Arizona. Just history and how their team looks, and the fact that they have lost important games this year that they should have won. There's no reason to even rally the troops. Oh, we lost, let's bounce back. You shouldn't have lost that fucking game. I think Purdue, Arizona, definitely. I do not have that much confidence in UConn.
Really? Why not?
If you look at the team that they won with last year, that was a strong, like, defensive rebounding team with a lot of great shooters. Like Hawkins, who's now in the NBA, great shooter. They don't have the same team. They're just coached really well, and they're a bunch of athletes who dive for loose balls and they fight.
That's the
Which
thing.
you can't take that away from them.
They take on the personality of their coach, and at this time in the year, I think that can kind of go a
Yeah,
little
that can
ways.
matter
Maybe
more
not.
than
But when you get to the Elite Eight, the blue collar mentality almost that gets you there, the Dan Hurleys and that shit. When you get to the Elite Eight and the Final Four, it's all fucking talent. That's when the game changers start to matter. That's when you have the Carmelo Anthonys and the Kevin Durant's and Steph and Davidson. Because the whole team thing, it gets narrowed down to who's going to take the last shot. Who can go off for fucking 10 points in the last 5 minutes. And that's like the game changer in every sport. You need that in the Final Eight.
Side note, I do wish that some so-called analysts would talk about me and how I have come into my own body or anything like that. I just need someone to say that it's going to get better. But
Yeah.
Maybe
I
it
mean, I'm
won't.
sure you've come into your own body.
Is that
Let's
even a
not
question?
visualize that. Let's not visualize that. All right. Let's not do that.
But I think we're saying different things.
Maybe at this point, possibly, but maybe
Stuff
not.
yourself like a turkey.
Well, I don't know much about Iowa State, so when I see Iowa
They're
State
tough.
at number 2, I just don't know much about.
I have Iowa
them.
State in the Final Four.
Do you now?
In one of the brackets.
Ooh. So, all right, well, I
asking
guess I'll
for a
just put
friend,
them
who's the
right
other
there.
number one?
We have North Carolina as the,
Okay.
as the 4th, which
They're going
those
down.
who should not be named.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they are in a bracket there in which they,
They're in the fairly easy
they
bracket.
have probably one of the easiest
Yeah.
ones. If you look at it, they've got Wagner in the first round. Then they have the winner of Mississippi State, Michigan State.
Here's where I'm hoping North Carolina goes down. I know Michigan State doesn't deserve to be there, but they have the best chance of knocking them out.
Not Alabama.
I don't see them getting that far. But
Yeah, I
Izzo
actually have
coach
Alabama
Michigan State
losing to St.
in
Mary's.
the March Madness has the best chance of knocking out North Carolina. He'll out-coach Hubert Davis, it's no question. But it's just,
He's just got to get his guys.
are they talented enough
to
to
be
beat North
streaky
Carolina?
enough, for sure. Let's see if we look up and down other possible upsets. I don't see.
James Madison.
James Madison, yeah. So James Madison, they are a 15 seed, if I recall.
They're 12.
A 12. That's right. They are playing Wisconsin, and that one I've seen a number of people say maybe.
That's a coin flip. I like
Yeah.
James Madison on that one.
Why not? And then, and I mean, you would love to have a James Madison in that one because then the Blue Dew Devils would be facing them in that game. So I'll go ahead and I'll put Duke all the way through to what is that? The Sweet 16, losing to Houston, of course. But that's how we'll do. You said that you were a little bit okay. We'll stay in that bracket. Well, no, that's this bracket? I might be all over the place. Kansas, a number 4 seed as well. They are going to be without their top scorer now, who in Kevin McCullough, who has, I'm probably jacking up his name, but who cares? 19 points a game. They've got a pretty favorable matchup there against Samford. I mean, you kind of think, wasn't it you who were saying that Samford might be an upset, or maybe I just saw that online that Samford might be
I said that
one of those
before
teams.
knowing that this guy was hurt. Kansas does not look good even with him.
Yeah. You take away your lead scorer, now you've got to try and figure things out. Maybe you get that first win there against Samford because, there's just a talent disparity. But then
I know
when you go up against possibly Gonzaga in that game, what happens there?
preseason rankings don't matter, but when you're preseason number 1 and you have completely dropped off the face of the earth, you're not only overrated, you did not deserve to be there. Kansas has been overrated all fucking season, and the only reason they've been regarded as one of the best teams is because they had the transfer from Michigan. They have not done shit, even with the best player.
And not only that, but like some people are speculating that Bill Self, head coach for the Kansas Jayhawks, basically said everyone's healthy, everyone's good. Don't look over here. We're not injured. Only to then come out and say, "Hey, our top scorer is out for the entire tournament." That's a little different there, and you definitely got a more favorable ranking. And now have a 4-13 versus possibly, a 6-11, a 7-10. I don't know. Like, would they have dropped that far if this guy was hurt?
No, because the name Bill Self will get him that seeding. But I'll tell you, 2 teams on top of Arizona and Purdue that I don't have a lot of faith in that won't go far, Kansas and Gonzaga. They're not going far.
You don't think so?
I will bet you whatever amount you name that Gonzaga is not getting past the second round.
But if Gonzaga is playing Kansas in the second round, you're saying Kansas moves on?
Yeah.
All right.
Take 3 more players at Kansas and hurt them. They'll beat Gonzaga. Gonzaga sucks this year.
I'm just kind of wondering, and I brought this up last week, and it brought one response from you was just like, hey, do you think that like the fact that they've had a little bit more trials and tribulations this year means that they're going to perform better? And No.
It just means they're not good. They're not as good as the other teams.
It just means that they were worse in a even less favorable conference. So, is there a team every year when you see them you can't help but drive them a little bit further just because you've always loved them?
Absolutely.
What is that team for you?
Dayton. Dayton is always that team.
Fancy Dayton.
I love Dayton. I fucking love Dayton. They've been in play-ins. They've been 7 seed, 10 seed, 12 seed. If I find Dayton as a 12 seed and a 5-12 upset, I am taking Dayton 100% of the time.
And they are a 10 seed this year, aren't they? Yeah. Oh no, they're a 7. But that could be Nevada.
Yeah, Dayton is my team for what you name.
They're the team I usually jump on the bandwagon with. They're ranked pretty well this year, but it's usually Creighton.
Creighton, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dougie McDermott.
Yeah, the Doug McDermott days for sure.
Cal Korver.
These guys are usually ranked pretty highly. For whatever reason, Marquette always stands out to me. Like, I love a good Marquette because sometimes like they're anywhere between. I guess sometimes they're number 1, but they're usually like 2 to 7. Maybe they're never like a super underdog.
Marquette's usually the 8 and 9. They're usually in the 8 and 9.
8, 9.
I am more worried about. I like Marquette a lot. I tend to take them when they're a lower seed. I am worried about them when they're a higher seed.
I got you.
And this year they're 2.
They are number 2, and they're in that bracket.
They're prone to losing when they're a higher seed.
They do have Western Kentucky, but then they possibly have either Colorado, Boise that winner, or
Colorado's
Florida.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Marquette is my team. At official IJMS, let us know the team that you always take, regardless of their seed when you see them. I've also really liked San Diego State the last few years. Maybe it was because I like to frequent San Diego, but also like they've had some good success.
They made it to the finals last year.
Yeah. So let's see what other.
They're not
teams.
that team this year, though.
No, they are not. They are 5 seed.
That's a great upset to pick. UAB to beat them. That's a good one.
What do you think about Auburn? I feel like Auburn is sneaky good this year.
Yeah, I have them going pretty far. I think I have them beating UConn.
You would have them beat UConn.
Yeah.
And then what? Face Iowa State?
And lose to Iowa State.
So Iowa State for you is a Final Four team.
In one bracket, I have them as a Final Four
team. Interesting. Are you wanting to do a bet with him on like who goes further, like North Carolina or Duke? Are you wanting to bet anything?
I'm not. Betting.
Shoot your shot. Who cares?
I'm
Who
not
cares?
betting anything that has Duke tied to it.
We didn't necessarily talk about Tennessee. Maybe we talk about Tennessee real quick.
Fuck Tennessee.
Fuck Tennessee for one. You seem to think that they're going to go pretty far.
Considering who's in their bracket.
You seem to think that they're going pretty far. You figure.
You look at Tennessee's bracket.
Yeah.
The top seeds in that bracket are Purdue, Kansas, Gonzaga, Marquette. I have zero faith in any of those teams this year.
Sure.
I'll take Tennessee out of the 5 of them to go farther than any one of those teams.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like, just in the interest of Tennessee always fucking it up.
And Tennessee beat Duke last year.
They sure did.
They overpowered. I mean, that's Duke's fault because they're fucking weak. And it's going to be.
They're going to go so far this year, and this is just going to play this on loop.
This is probably the first time in filling out the first time in, I don't know, fucking 10 years. I'm filling out a bracket. My brackets are always Duke and another champion. That's why I fill out so many. This is the one time that I'm just doing it for loyalty.
Yeah.
I have zero faith. They have no toughness, no grit. I mean, Filipowski's going to get outplayed. He's going to get out tough.
Yeah,
he's going to get bullied by juniors and seniors when he gets to the second round or Sweet 16 if they make it that far. Unfortunately, you don't have it. You have the talent, but you don't have the grit to fucking deal with these upperclassmen.
They certainly did not win, or they certainly are stumbling a bit into the tournament as well. Losing to North Carolina, not going, losing to NC State.
They are that team this year that if they go far, you're indifferent. You wouldn't be surprised. If they lose in the first round, you wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
They belong in that category this year.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I have no idea how you're doing this, but you're doing it. And
dude, and if you follow them, especially if you're a longtime fan, Shire's driving you fucking crazy because you know he's got it. You know he's earned the spot to be a coach. You know he's earned the right to be in the spot that he's in. But motherfucker, play more than 7 guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this is. Like, why you have a Duke's bench is a starter or starters in other teams. Why are you not going past 7 or 8 dudes? You have guys their legs are fucking done, and the other team is subbing fresh legs in there, and they're just killing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are
answer my text, John. Fuck.
He's got thoughts. The man's got thoughts. But yeah, like when you think about it, I think that it's one of these lower seeds. I think it might even be James Madison. There are a good number of teams, especially lower seeds, where they have players 10 deep who are all playing in double digits, right? Yeah.
McNeese beating Gonzaga,
right.
baby.
So then you think about like when you need those legs or you need a burst or something like that, like a game change. That's
energy.
Where, energy.
Just energy.
Energy guys.
Remember
sure.
2015 national championship, Duke versus Wisconsin? Duke was getting pummeled by Frank Kaminsky and all those guys. Who did Coach K put in? Fucking Grayson Allen, who was at the end of the bench. He scores 8 straight points. Duke takes the lead. It fucking energized the entire team. They win the national championship. This is like the movie Blindside when Sandra Bullock calls the fucking coach in the middle of the game. He's like, run the dang ball. That's what I'm trying to do to John Shire. Just answer my call in the middle of the game.
Just answer it. The man's trying to DM you.
Maybe Coach K, just give him a call. Send him an email.
Yeah.
Play more than 7 guys.
Yeah, teams that like are deep teams, or at least more than 7. And then obviously when you think about like the defensive side, I tend to lean more towards like a team that is more, as much as I love a good offense. I mean, we've kind of proven over and over again that a team like Gonzaga, who will score 90 plus points on you in the regular season, aren't going to do much in the tournament. So that's why I tend to lean towards those types of
That's
teams.
only fun when you have 2 superpowers on offense that are trading blows. Like, one of the best national championship games was that Villanova, North Carolina. They were trading, that went to overtime. They were trading blows, or no, it was about to go to overtime, and he made that. But, like, that North Carolina player had a double pump 3 to tie the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they were literally trading blow for blow, 3 for 3. And then that was like a great example of 2 offensive powerhouse teams. But when you have Gonzaga in there playing a team like Houston, that's decided by halftime.
For sure.
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a team that averages 95 points a game and they are at 42 at halftime, you got them. That's a done deal. But that is up in the air. It's a coin flip when you have that Nova North Carolina team. You're watching that for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. If I know that I said we were going to put a bow on our NCAA talk, but I wanted to go through our 12-5s, which are always so popular. You have San Diego State UAB as your 5-12. Then you have your St. Mary's Grand Canyon. Then Gonzaga McNeese and Wisconsin James Madison. What is your most? Which one do you like best out of the 12-5?
UAB James Madison. Those are the 2 12s I'm taking.
Those are the 2.
I like James Madison as well.
I am like this on McNeese. I don't believe in Gonzaga. I don't know if McNeese is good enough to beat him. But UAB and James Madison are 2 for sure 12s I'm taking.
James Madison averaged the 9th most points in college basketball this season, 84.4. Ranked 7th in point differential. Didn't have a very tough road in their championship game as well in the SBC conference. And then obviously with Wisconsin, they did not originally start very well, but
They beat Purdue.
But then they
in the
beat
Big
Purdue.
Ten Championship.
In overtime in the conference semis, before they ran into Illinois, and Illinois wins the final there. But I like that one, the James Madison one. For whatever reason, I can't get behind. I can't go against my Aztecs there. But let's see.
Your Aztecs.
My Aztecs.
Your ass.
My Aztecs. Screw Duquesne because LeBron James likes Duquesne. And then let's see, that was in the
LeBron's like Drake. He probably likes half the teams in the bracket.
I didn't quite understand the Duquesne thing. I think that there's some sort of personal connection there. But
Akron's in the tournament. Why isn't he saying he likes Akron?
Because they're no chance against Creighton possibly.
Doubtful.
The interesting part, if Oregon wins and Creighton wins, they will face each other next, and that's obviously, I know it's a long time ago, but that's where Dana Altman hailed from way back in the day.
Dana Altman, it's good in March.
There's also a pretty good chance that Duke plays Kentucky.
There is a pretty good chance there.
That would be pretty big.
It's going to be fun March Madness.
Yeah. We get to watch the second round here because Sunday we're together.
Sunday we're together, and Friday we're together. If anyone wants to come to A&A, the casino up there in Ridgefield, we will be at the Sportsbook on Friday. For the afternoon slate. The Blue Dew Devils at 4 o'clock on Friday.
Play some bets.
So you pulled out some cash. You're ready to go.
I'm ready.
And then depending on
maybe
how it goes,
place NFL future bets too.
Yeah, why not? We the possibility of going to the Michael Jordan Steakhouse. If you do win a lot of money, I will gladly let you pay for my dinner.
Me too.
That night. So
I'll let you do.
Just got to get paid to hang out with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I triple my money, then I'll pay for the steakhouse.
That makes
Twipple?
sense. Twipple?
Twipple.
If you twipple it. If we want to look a little bit before we start closing things out, I want to turn a little bit to the NFL. I thought it was interesting today. Netflix announced that they are going to have not quarterback, but receiver.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
That one is interesting. It's not all receivers by like wide receivers, just receiver.
Kittle's the only one that's a non-wide receiver,
that's
right?
true. So George Kittle is in there along with Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then George Kittle.
You think Travis Kelce turned this down? Because there's no way they didn't ask him. With how their name is trending right now, there's no way they didn't ask him.
Could you imagine if, probably with all the Taylor Swift stuff, maybe
there's no way they didn't ask him.
Yeah, they absolutely had to ask him. And
Why
could you imagine if they got Travis Kelce this year? They're probably just like, fuck. They would have loved that.
They've had Mahomes in the other one.
He probably turned it down.
He's his own thing.
Yeah.
Like he has the media stuff that he needs.
It'll be a Travis Kelce documentary and not. He probably views himself as like, I'm above all these guys.
Maybe.
I'm not going to be with them.
Gosh, like they're monetizing themselves so much. Like, why do I need Netflix to produce my thing?
Yeah.
I'm already kind of doing it with my brother at that point. The one that I'm most interested to see in all of this, because like you had injuries to Justin Jefferson, you had injuries to Deebo Samuel. Obviously, like what ended up kind of going down kind of in Minnesota and how they handle that. But more than anything, the Devontae Adams situation, because Devontae Adams very vocal in his displeasure for Josh McDaniels, and then that whole thing, him getting fired, everyone hating him, and then a new coach, but then Devontae Adams still not really getting the ball. He went weeks. I know this for a fact. He went weeks without a touchdown because he was my wide receiver one. And so, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see like his mental headspace there throughout that journey balls.
I think that would be a pretty cool documentary.
Yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Also, I know I haven't seen you guys for a lot of the NFL free agency. Browns.
How about them?
How about them? They're looking real good.
They got Jerry Jeudy, signed him to a 3-year extension.
Perfect.
Woo!
These wide receivers that are joining these teams, like Jeudy with the Browns and unless the only way this wouldn't fucking work is if Rodgers gets hurt again. Getting Mike Williams with the Jets with Garrett Wilson. You have a speed guy in Garrett Wilson, and you have a fucking Mike Williams who's 6'5", whatever, in the end zone.
And they're probably going to get Brock Bowers, too, in the draft.
I believe Bowers is going to the Chargers.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
We have a bet on that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do have a bet. I think I said receiver, and you said...
The whole Mike Williams going to the Jets
reinforces
plays to your,
a whole
in
lot
your favor.
more. They could also go like offensive tackle or something like that.
No, they're getting a weapon for Herbert.
What do you think of good old Jameis Winston joining as a backup quarterback?
Why not?
Why not? Unabashedly, let's see. Not a bad-looking offense there where you have Deshaun Watson slinging it to Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore with David Njoku as your tight end. And then Nick Chubb with Jerome Ford as
I hope that guy.
Maybe Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb fucking stay healthy. I just want to see a full dominant season out of him and not get unlucky by getting fucking hurt. Like Nick Chubb with the Browns and how well they're doing with that defense, they would go so far with him back there.
And they've picked up a few, a few really strong pieces on defense. They picked up kind of the number 2 guy from the New York Jets defensive line behind Quentin Williams or whatever.
The older guy.
Yeah, I think his name's something Johnson. Quentin Johnson, something like that. And then they also got a couple DBs, which were a point of lacking in their defense last year. So I'm pretty confident. I think the Browns only got better.
I wonder too if do you think that I don't remember where the Browns are actually picking here in the first round of the NFL draft. It's a very weak
18
running back. You're just joking. I mean, it's a good guess. That might be right. I'm not going to bet you.
No, he might be right. I
Yeah.
know it's in the teens.
He comes up with these weird things that I say, okay, yeah, screw it, and then he's always right. It's not a great running back draft, but I wonder if they could sneak something in later on for a good value.
I also want to say I've never really had a reason to hate the Cowboys. I'm not one of those people that's just jumping on the bandwagon of hating the Dallas Cowboys.
Sure.
And I don't think Dak Prescott is a hateable dude. I actually think he's a pretty nice guy. But I saw a video of Dak's brother today. Tad Prescott.
Tad,
in an interview. I don't know why you're interviewing Dak Prescott's brother, first of all. I don't know who the fuck he is. They were interviewing him on naming his top 10 quarterbacks in the league. And this fucker proceeded to name his top 10 quarterbacks. He goes, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and then he was interrupted by whoever was interviewing him. He goes, what about Jalen Hurts? And this take is coming from my love of Jalen Hurts and now my hate of the entire Prescott clan. He goes, you said quarterbacks, not running backs. You motherfucker.
how dare you?
Who the fuck are you?
How dare you? By the way, the Browns are picking 54th. They do not have a first round pick.
You should have bet me.
And that's right. I should have remembered that they've given away all of their picks based
It's called playing
on
poker.
the
You play the man.
Deshaun Watson trade. So they still have that to go. A number of other interesting takes have kind of come around as well with the draft coming up. RG3 has been known to have a hot take or two. He was on...
Shitty takes is what he has.
He was on, I think he does his own kind of podcast thingamajigger, because who doesn't? And he was talking about Caleb Williams in this upcoming draft, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on his take.
Caleb Williams should pull a Eli Manning and demand that the Chicago Bears do not draft him number 1 overall. After everything that's happened with Justin Fields, can Caleb Williams really look at that and say, you know what? This is the organization that has my best interests at heart, and they're going to help develop me into the player that I want to become. Caleb Williams is on record saying that he wants to be legendary. He wants to rewrite history, and he wants to be the best that he can possibly be and win the most games he can possibly win. After the Bears took Justin Fields, the 11th pick in the draft, and turned him into a 6th round pick in the 2025 draft by trading him to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Can Caleb Williams really look at that and say, you know what? Yeah, this organization is going to help get me where I want to go. I don't think it's saying that.
What do you guys think there? And we'll talk about Justin Fields in a second.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we shit on the Bears, but that's the NFL, though. I think you get one or two opportunities. They did Justin Fields wrong, because I feel like if you had kept him, you're not having to worry about a rookie quarterback seeing how he gels with the current team. I mean, they got DeAndre Swift, they got DJ Moore, and they just got Keenan Allen. There's significantly more weapons than Fields had last year.
That's true. They kind of did Justin Fields a little bit dirty there, where it's like, wow, you really could have built around me, and now I'm leaving, and here this is. I mean, we knew that they were going to have a ton of cap space heading into this year.
But to not give him that chance is dirty.
It is pretty dirty. I agree.
But I do tend to agree with the opinion that, and I've said this before, Chicago is the place where quarterbacks go to die, especially when they're picked up in the draft.
And high in the draft.
Yeah. And so, and honestly, you guys know my opinions about Caleb Williams. I'm not super high on him as it is. But I feel like this is a situation where if he does go to the Bears and he doesn't succeed, this is one of those scenarios where I don't think it's so much on the the Bears, because they have built up this squad around him that is undeniably great. If you can't step up and perform in that type of environment, I think you can look at him personally rather than saying, oh, this is just another Bears fuck up.
Right, yeah. I think that's like, it's interesting if you go, maybe Caleb Williams doesn't pan out, and then he's got that built-in excuse, right? I think that's kind of what you're saying, is that, like, you know, he demands to go somewhere else because he's like, they don't have my best interest, and then he goes and he sucks somewhere. Yeah. Well, really, it's like, if he's good, then great, that's awesome. But like, if he sucks, hey, it wasn't me, it was them. Yeah. they have decades of failing quarterbacks, like myself.
Here's the thing that's kind of unfair, though, that I think is universal around the league, but especially magnified with the Chicago Bears. Fans get blinded by when you say putting a team around you by just looking at skill players. Like Caleb Williams, how could you fail? You have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore to throw to, and DeAndre Swift to hand the ball off to. No one ever pays attention if he's ever being protected.
Yeah.
So, to me, the one thing I would give him if he fails is, like, if he's getting sacked and he is not getting time to throw the ball, then it doesn't matter if he has Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase on either side of the ball. He can't do it. So I hope the Bears are, outside of picking up the likes of Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, I hope they're focusing on a fucking O-line if you're going to invest on a number one pick for a quarterback.
Right. I mean, like we saw with the Jets last year with Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, I mean, you couldn't even keep him. I mean, obviously he blew his Achilles and it was a non-contact, but with the way that we saw that offensive line, it crumbled very quickly.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Bears had some injury issues on their line last year, so hopefully they come back healthy and they're able to pick up maybe.
That's what doing Justin Fields dirty. You didn't even protect him, and then you told him that he failed you as your starting quarterback, and you shipped him off for fucking a bag of popcorn.
It is pretty.
I think the value is fucked up, but honestly, this is the best thing for Justin Fields.
Yeah, the value was what I was so shocked by.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is literally nothing. Was it you, Miguel, who just said that, just like a bag of popcorn, where it's just like, wait, hold on. We were talking about like first round picks here, top like a second round. Like, I remember listening to national radio, like, if they offered you a second rounder, would you take, like, well, yeah, absolutely. But no one was even offering you. They were taking a late day 3 pick for Justin Fields to go to a team where he was going to be a backup. And
to your point, it's only great for Justin Fields if he ends up in a situation kind of like a Baker Mayfield, where he finds a team that appreciates him and he can perform. If he doesn't, this ruins his career.
It does.
Because you lowered his value so much, and then he doesn't get an opportunity in Pittsburgh playing behind Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And then he gets shipped off to another team and he doesn't get an opportunity. It's only 2 or 3 years before he's out of the league.
It's interesting, too. And sorry, I feel like, Braxton, you were going to expand off of that. Do you want to?
No, all I was gonna say was I do think that he's gonna get an opportunity in Pittsburgh. I think that either Russ is not gonna be able to kind of meet the expectations of not only Mike Tomlin but the city of Pittsburgh, or we're gonna run into injury issues. Excuse me, and I think we're gonna see Fields on the field next year. No pun intended.
I'm jumping on board with what you said about Tomlin, though. After I've seen more interviews about him, I think Russ is a great fucking fit for how he is as a coach.
Yeah, I think it's just like between the ears right now for Russ.
I watched an interview with Mike Tomlin with the Brandon Marshall podcast, and Mike Tomlin is a very preacher-like dude, like you said, but he said something almost like throwing shade to other coaches, not just in the NFL, but like in all of sports. Where he's like, other coaches, not throwing any names, other coaches are afraid to coach. They want to make the money, but they all have this mentality of, man, if we just had great players that didn't need to be coached, we'd be fucking great.
Right.
I mean, that's like saying if people just called you for a sale, you wouldn't have to sell anything.
For sure.
And he's like, those people run away from coaching. I run to coaching. I look forward to coaching. If players knew what to do, they wouldn't need a coach.
Yeah.
And as soon as he said that, I'm like, Russell Wilson is a yes sir guy.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fucking great combination that you have in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I feel like Mike Tomlin will be able to love on Russ, and he'll be able to figure out how to coach the shit out of him. Cut the shit type of stuff.
It might bring Russ back to
who knows?
Better than he was in Seattle.
Possibly, yeah. The one thing that is a little interesting to me, I don't look to the Steelers, to Pittsburgh, as a place where quarterbacks go to rehab their image or something like that. This is not necessarily a place
Roethlisberger was able to do it.
Well, I mean, like rehab an image versus be a guy there for 2 decades.
Well, and I think that in a way, you kind of answer that question. It's because they've had one stable guy,
yeah, sure,
for close to 2 decades, really.
Yeah, who's had a winning record every single year, and now we're what 2 years, 3 years into this kind of new age of Pittsburgh, where they're trying to, find something new. And like I said, I think that Russ will be a good fit, but I do I do think one way or another that Fields sees some time.
I hope so.
And if anything, like a package, right? Even if it's him as a backup, where they're
kind of what's the guy on the Saints? BYU.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
where they have that,
like
a certain package is a little bit less big and burly, maybe a little bit more wild.
But still, he's a dynamic player, and usually you can't pass out of those packages, and he can definitely throw the ball. So.
Yeah, but I think you're right. They haven't had a place to rehab quarterbacks because they've had stability at quarterback for as long as they've had a good coach. But
sorry,
go for it.
One person I remembered that I would be remiss to not mention: the Browns got Naheem Hines.
That's right.
Great second option behind Mr. Chubb.
Possibly third with Jerome Ford, but we'll see.
We'll see. All right, that's the last I have to say about the Browns.
Back to the Browns now. Back out. And again, if anything, if Justin Fields and Mike Tomlin and the respective coaches can figure out a way to use this 6th round pick as a little energy for Justin Fields too. All guys are always looking for chips on their shoulders, right?
Yeah.
This is something where, you just go, all right, Fine, you thought I was a 6th rounder. I'm going to prove back to you that I was the 11th pick just a couple of years ago.
Maybe he should start with stop being vegan.
Is he a vegan?
Mm-hmm.
Fields? Yeah, that's probably why he runs slower.
That's why he's always injured.
Chase Young left the Niners. So he's getting blown up, baby.
Yeah. $13 million for good old Chase Young there.
They gave him a shot for 1 year. They didn't make it. And he's like, you're out.
1 year, $13 million, all guaranteed for him. People were pretty notoriously against that, which they should be because he's been pretty lazy on the field.
On Friday, while we're at ALNA, I am placing 3 $20 bets as an NFL Super Bowl champion for the next season.
Okay.
I know one of them. I know Philly's one of them.
You're going to put Philly on there.
Philly got Saquon, kept A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I don't think they have Darius Slay anymore, but they got Devin White from Tampa Bay and Gardner Johnson, the DB from the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
That defense just became significantly better than even the Super Bowl year. The last 2 Super Bowl years that they had.
Yeah, and then they've got Vic Fangio there as their defensive coordinator.
I like him as one. I don't know who the other...
Plus 1,700 there for the Eagles
actually,
right now, according to DraftKings.
Eagles, one future. Ravens with Derrick Henry.
I was just going to say.
Ravens with Derrick Henry. And then I was going to say Bengals, but who replaced Mixon? Who's the running back?
I don't think they have one right now.
Yeah, I can't go Bengals.
Yeah. Bengals right now
Jets
are at plus 1,300.
Oh, give me the Jets, baby. That's 3 great futures.
Jets, it's plus
guaranteed winner, one of those.
2,200.
Dude, New York Jets. You hear me?
Wow, it's the second time.
Did they
we've
sell
done that.
Breece Hall?
Yeah.
So Hall, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Aaron Rodgers.
He might be vice president.
Yeah, I spelled that one.
That's tough.
Right now, your favorites, the 49ers plus 550, the Chiefs plus 600,
Oh,
the
the
Ravens
Chiefs.
plus 900.
Forget the Chiefs.
Buffalo Bills plus. You might as well put a little money in there. Just
Where's
to
the Browns?
The Brownies are
I'm going to guess plus 1,700.
plus 4,000.
Whoa.
Is there a bet for a team to not make the Super Bowl?
Not
would be
on here, but I
minus
mean, you
a
might
lot.
as yeah. Right now, the Panthers at plus 25,000 to win. Go ahead and place $1.
I was
there.
looking for a bet for the Bills to not make something.
How do you feel about your Eagles as Super Bowl champions with Kenny Pickett as your backup quarterback? Kenny Pickett shipped out after Russell Wilson was given the nod for starter. I mean, was
Pickett
very
didn't really shit the bed last year, did he?
More like Kenny Lickett. Am I right?
Did he suck? Or did
No,
he just...
he
He
was-
was
he also got
fine.
hurt,
But then he
as
got
well.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small hits. The biggest thing I was
not
so
great, not bad.
yeah, I was just kind of confused by like everyone thinking like, oh, Justin Fields could go to the Eagles. This is like a great like mixed match. Like, hey, Jalen Hurts gets hurt, and then Justin Fields right in there. You kind of have similar styles.
You don't want similar styles. I
Why
feel
don't
like.
you want similar styles? You would run the same offense. It would be like you don't miss a beat.
And Kenny Pickett is the exact opposite quarterback of Hurts. I feel like that would...
But you would
be
have to
better.
change your entire offense if your backup quarterback becomes the guy for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. He's the new guy. All of a sudden, you have a whole new offense. Like, why wouldn't you want to
Why
be
would
able
you change
to?
the offense? Does he get a different playbook?
They're just two different style of quarterbacks. I think that like Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields on the same team lends itself to just like
You don't have to necessarily change your scheme.
Yeah, your scheme. Thank you. I was trying to figure out the damn word. So your scheme changes, I think, with Kenny Pickett. Your options totally change. You don't have that same look. It's just two different guys. So Kenny Pickett to go to the
You're not going to
Eagles,
be running a lot of quarterback draws with Kenny Pickett. That's for sure.
he's not running.
Oh, you see that run when he was at Pittsburgh? the
fake
fake
slide.
kneel? Dude.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so
that's
that one was
honestly,
weird to me.
Sorry to go back to the Browns, but that's one thing I'm happy about.
All roads lead back.
Is they get Jameis Winston, who's somewhat similar to a Deshaun Watson, and then they have Tyler Huntley.
They good old Tyler, who's a serviceable backup as a backup.
If the Browns learned anything from last season, they're gonna have 8 quarters the coming season,
and they kept DTR
because they're gonna have to play the 8th one
goodness.
at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get rid of one of them in preseason.
They usually keep 3, but
they run a new Wildcat scheme, which is 4 quarterbacks on the field. You don't know who he's gonna hike the ball to.
62 starting quarterbacks last year. That's how many you had.
Yeah,
62.
And I think 5 of them were the Browns.
Yeah.
What was the rumor that there was a possibility that Jefferson and Jamar Chase could be on the same team?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Did you
like
hear that?
Yeah, it's like
Well,
they've
once they got rid
engaged
of
in talks.
Kirk Cousins, I'm sure Jefferson wasn't happy. You're gonna have Andy, or what's his name, Sam Darnold throwing you the ball.
Well, the Vikings reportedly holding a secret workout for J.J. McCarthy as your guy. I don't know. Like, is everyone just thinking that that's going to be your guy?
Yeah,
that this is just like the next Tom Brady game manager Michigan connection? Tom Brady saying this guy's better than I ever was?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
I mean, every college quarterback in college currently is better than Tom Brady was in college. It's a whole different game.
Yeah,
I think
totally
it would be really exciting for us fans to see an LSU dream team on the Bengals.
I mean, it would.
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson back together.
Woo!
I mean, you might as well throw Edwards-Hilaire, put him in the backfield, go back to 2019.
He's got to be available.
29. No one that. I guarantee he's like in Canadian Football League or some shit.
Edwards-Hilaire? He was just on the Chiefs.
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl again.
He did
Bring
absolutely
back the
nothing.
2019 LSU team. Oh man,
that would be something.
Yeehaw.
Turn off injuries.
Yeah, well,
turn them off.
just get rid of them. Maybe draft a freaking offensive lineman rather than just always going and jersey chasing all these really, dynamic wide receivers. Your quarterback keeps getting hurt.
If you have Chase and Jefferson, throw it with your eyes closed. One of them will get it.
Yeah,
Who gives a shit?
I could play quarterback.
Yikes.
Tell your line, let him through. Just let him
through. We'll see how that one goes with Myles Garrett. We'll see how let him through goes.
No, triple him. Let everyone else
Yeah,
through.
everyone else can come through. Let's see. We are running a little bit out of time here, but is there anything else that we have missed?
I'm sure we'll talk more about. We'll be deep in the first and second round by the next time we record.
That's true. We once again at official IJMS for our bracket. If you want to go up against us, we'll be at A Casino on Friday. Come hang out with us.
Don't ask for autographs. We'll be busy watching games.
We will be busy.
I'll sign a few things, but just a few.
For money, though.
With NIL, I got to get paid for that.
Yeah, I'm thinking $100 a sig.
And then a little bit different within our schedule because I will be in San Diego next week. We're going to tape a weekend episode coming up. So an early
It doesn't really
release.
matter to the listeners. They don't give a shit.
Well, yeah, but like a new episode's going to come out randomly like on Monday of next week. So we won't have
edited.
Usually we have a Thursday, if not early, or Wednesday, if not early Thursday release. We will have a Monday release. Looking at the first weekend of games as well. Very excited this weekend. We are going to be celebrating your fiance's birthday at Bar Casa Valle. Pull up to there as well.
Yeah. I think we've
Miguel's
taken all the chairs.
Yeah. And then let's see.
I heard it's not a big place.
No, it's quite tiny, but the food is delicious. Braxton, again, welcome back.
Thanks.
Sorry
it's
if
good
you
to be
end up
back.
getting a fever and getting sick.
Probably will, but that's okay.
Just happens to be. You can listen to the podcast while you are
Looking forward to it.
fever breaking.
I just hope I'm good by Friday. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, indeed. Well,
Clear eyes.
full heart.
Can't lose.